Silence is one of the great arts of conversation. There's something terrifying about silence. Not the kind that fills a quiet room or a night sky, but the silence that shows up after someone realizes you're not coming back. That kind of silence? That's not absence, it's power. And my friends, today, we're going to break the biggest lie they've been telling themselves. That your silence means you've got nothing left to say. No, no, your silence is breaking them down more than you think. Before we go deep, do me a favor. If you've ever felt the weight of being misunderstood, if you've ever held your tongue while your heart screamed the truth, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe, because you're not alone. We're just getting started, and I promise you're going to come out stronger, wiser, and quieter than ever before. But not the weak kind of quiet, the powerful kind. Now stay with me. Hey folks, imagine this. Imagine someone building a throne out of your love, your loyalty, your patience, your time. They sit on it, smug, believing you'll never leave. They throw tantrums, act cold, disrespectful, believing your heart is their kingdom. But one day, you walk out. No fight, no warning, no explanation, just silence. And suddenly, the throne collapses beneath them. Not because you screamed, but because you vanished. That, my friends, is the power of silence. It doesn't crash like thunder. It suffocates like fog, slowly, quietly, completely. They expected you to react, to send long paragraphs, to beg, to fight for closure, but instead, you gave them the one thing their ego was never prepared for: nothing. And now, that nothing is echoing through every hallway of their pride. It's crawling through the cracks of their confidence. It's eating away at their certainty, because silence is the only sound that forces people to listen to themselves. And trust me, they don't like what they hear. They told themselves you were the emotional one, the clingy one, the weak one. But now that you're quiet, they don't know what to think anymore. Their mind is running wild, trying to fill in the blanks. Maybe you moved on. Maybe you're done. Maybe you finally realized your worth. And nothing is more haunting than not knowing. You see, silence isn't passive. It's a storm with no thunder. It's a mirror with no frame. It's the loudest reminder of everything they did and everything they just lost. Every time they check their phone and don't see your name, it stings. Every time they post hoping for a reaction and get none, it hurts. Every time they remember the version of you who would have chased them without hesitation and realize that version is gone, it crushes them. Because now they're starting to see the truth. Maybe you weren't weak. Maybe they were just spoiled by your presence. And now your silence is exposing everything they pretended not to see. You're not punishing them. You're protecting your peace. You're not playing games. You're reclaiming your power. You're not silent because you don't care. You're silent because you finally do. About yourself. And listen, I know it's hard. I know there are days you want to break and explain and cry and prove your heart again. But what if I told you this? The person who stays silent holds all the power. Not because they're cold, but because they've healed enough to walk away without looking back. This silence you've chosen, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's Stoicism in its purest form. It's strength wrapped in restraint. And yes, it's breaking them down more than you think. But more importantly, it's building you back up stronger than you've ever been. So if you're walking this path, don't doubt it. Embrace it. Let silence be your sword and your shield. And repeat after me, my silence is strength. Drop it in the comments right now. Let them scroll and see it. Let yourself see it. And don't forget, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're just getting started. Stay with me. The best is yet to come. Silence isn't just quiet. It's psychological chaos. When the heart is full, the tongue is silent. Silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of everything they're afraid to face. It's not peace for them. It's war. The moment you stopped talking, they didn't feel calm. They felt confused, disoriented. And that confusion, that's where it starts to break them. See, people who live off control expect words. They expect reaction. They expect emotion. But when you give them silence instead, you take away their power without even touching them. Let me paint you a picture, my friends. Imagine someone standing in front of a mirror. But the mirror shows nothing. No reflection, no image, just emptiness. That's what your silence feels like to them. Because as long as you were talking, fighting, explaining, they had something to bounce off of. They knew who they were through your reactions. But now they're left with only themselves, and they don't like what they see. They start asking questions, not out loud. No, they'd never admit it. But deep down, the panic begins. Why are they so quiet? Why haven't they reached out? Did I push them too far? Are they done for real this time? The ego hates silence because the ego lives off certainty. And your silence, it replaces their certainty with chaos. They thought you'd be back. They thought this was just another round in the cycle. Maybe a few days of space, maybe a dramatic post, and then you'd return. But you're not playing that game anymore. You're not tossing breadcrumbs. You're not keeping the door half open. You're not reacting to their bait. You're doing the one thing they never saw coming. You're doing nothing. And that nothing, it's unraveling them. The lie they believed, that you'd always be there, is cracking. That you were too emotional, too invested, too soft to walk away for good. But here's the truth. You weren't emotional. You were loyal. You weren't weak. You were committed. And now you're quiet. And your quiet is becoming the loudest message they've ever heard. They may still act confident. They may still post, party, pretend. But that's not strength. It's noise. Desperate, messy noise. Because silence demands stillness. And stillness forces reflection, and reflection reveals regret. The philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." You've gifted them that silence, and now they're face to face with what they've avoided all along, themselves. The things they did, the chances they wasted, the person they thought they'd always have access to, gone. But let's be real, this silence isn't easy for you either. Some days it feels like your throat is full of words you're dying to scream. Some days you want to text, just once, just to see if they still care, but you don't. And that, right there, is the definition of strength. You are healing without a spotlight. You are transforming without applause. You are detaching without needing revenge. They think silence means weakness. They think it's your way of hoping they'll come back. But folks, let me tell you something. They've got it twisted. Silence doesn't mean I miss you. It means I found me. It's hard because you still care. And caring without reacting feels like swallowing fire and pretending it's air. But every second you stay silent, you're rising. You're reclaiming your narrative. You're reminding yourself that peace isn't found in proving your worth to someone who never deserved your energy. It's found in walking away with your dignity intact. You are not the storm anymore. You are the calm after. And they'll feel it, not as relief, but as the uncomfortable truth that maybe, just maybe, they lost someone irreplaceable. So here's what I want you to write in the comments right now. My silence is power. Let them see it. Let yourself see it. Let the whole world see it. Because the one who holds their tongue holds the throne. And if you think this is the peak, oh no, my friends, stay with me, because in the next part, We're going to break down exactly how their mind starts rewiring itself in your absence. The longer you stay silent, the more they start to crumble. Trust me, they're not okay, and I'll show you why. The ego needs noise. Silence starves it. Pride is concerned with who is right. Humility is concerned with what is right. There's something you need to understand about ego. It feeds on noise. It craves reaction, attention, validation. It's not nourished by truth. It's nourished by drama. And the second you go silent, the ego starts to starve. Not just theirs, but yours too. And that's when the real battle begins. Not between you and them, but between you and yourself. See, their ego expected chaos. It wanted texts at 2 a.m. It wanted you to break no contact. It wanted to see you cracking, because your reaction was their proof that they still mattered. But when you didn't give it to them, when you stayed still, you didn't just shock them, you starved the very identity they built on your emotional investment. And it hurts. Oh, it hurts them more than they'll ever say, because now they're not the center of your storm. They're just a distant memory trying to pull you back in. They didn't expect the silence, and they definitely didn't expect to feel so invisible in it. Let me give you a little image, my friends. Imagine a spotlight on a stage, and they've been standing in it, basking in it, assuming the entire performance was built around them. But the second you walk off stage, the light goes dark. The applause stops. The crowd leaves. Now they're just standing there, alone. No script, no scene, just silence. And suddenly, they don't know who they are without your attention shining on them. That's what silence does. It removes the spotlight. It removes the illusion. And all that's left is the truth. The truth that maybe, just maybe, they weren't the main character in your story after all. They'll never admit it. They'll pretend they're fine. But the ego is a loud, messy thing when it starts to panic. You'll see it in the little things. They'll post more, flashier stories, subtle digs, a picture with someone new. It's all bait, noise, desperation. It's the ego saying, please notice me. But you're done noticing. You're done feeding what only ever drained you. They say ego is the enemy, and now you see why. Because it lies, it manipulates, it convinces people that silence means weakness, that whoever says less feels less, that whoever walks away first loses. But that's the biggest lie of all. The truth is, silence doesn't mean you're losing. It means you've outgrown the game entirely. The philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know." You're not silent because you don't have anything to say. You're silent because you finally understand that not everything needs to be said. Not everything needs closure. Not every fight deserves your fire. And here's the twist. They thought they had the power when you were reacting. But now you're the one with the control. Not because you're manipulating anything, but because you've detached. You're not reacting from emotion anymore. You're responding from clarity, from strength, from stillness. But don't get it twisted. Your ego is feeling this too. There's a part of you that wants to break the silence just to prove you could. That voice in your head that whispers, just message them once. Just remind them who you are. That's your ego starving too. And this is where the work gets real. Because silence isn't just about what they hear. It's about what you become in the quiet. You're not just starving their ego. You're detoxing from yours. You're breaking the cycle of needing to be needed. You're stepping out of the identity that was built around being their emotional anchor. This isn't easy, but healing never is. So when it gets hard, when the silence feels too loud, remember what you're really doing. You're rewiring your mind. You're rebuilding your value. You're remembering that peace is louder than any argument you could have had. That presence is more powerful than any post you could have made. That silence, when held with purpose, becomes your superpower. My friends, I want you to write this in the comments right now. Silence starves the ego. I choose peace. Let the world see you're done playing small, done being baited, done being defined by reaction. Because guess what? In the next section, we're going even deeper. I'm going to show you what really happens in the first few days of your silence. The panic, the denial, the games they play with themselves just to pretend they're okay. Trust me, they're not okay. And soon, they won't be able to hide it. Stay with me. The first few days, their mind pretends, but the body remembers. You can fool the world, but you can't fool your nervous system. The first few days after you go silent, they look fine, don't they? The posts keep coming. The smiles are staged to perfection. They laugh louder, caption things with "living my best life," and pretend like your silence didn't shake the very ground they walk on. But here's the truth, my friends. The body knows what the mind tries to deny. Because while they're putting on that show for the world, their nervous system is already betraying them. That quick glance at their phone, that slight twinge in their chest when they don't see your name pop up, that sinking feeling in their stomach that something they thought they had control over just slipped away. See, in those first few days, it's not your silence that hits them the hardest. It's what their mind starts doing with that silence. They start rehearsing a narrative. They'll text me soon. They always come back. This is just one of those phases. And they lean on the lies they've always told themselves, that you're the emotional one, the one who needs closure, the one who can't walk away for good. But folks, the moment that first day passes, then the second, and then a week goes by, and they still hear nothing. That's when the cracks begin. They open the message thread more often than they want to admit. They scroll through old photos, watch your stories from burner accounts, ask mutual friends if you've said anything, but they'll never show it. Why? Because their ego's still wearing the mask of indifference. But that mask is already slipping. Let me give you a picture. Imagine someone walking through a desert. At first, they're fine, confident, certain that just over the next hill, they'll find water. But with every step, their mouth dries, their vision blurs, and panic sets in. Your silence is that desert, and they're realizing maybe there is no oasis waiting. Maybe this time, they're really alone. They didn't expect this version of you. The version that doesn't chase. The version that doesn't fight to explain. The version that doesn't beg to be heard. They thought you were predictable. But your silence. That was the plot twist. It flipped the script, and now they're scrambling for lines. Because in those early days, they're still trying to pretend they're in control, that this is a choice, that they're the ones creating distance. But deep down, they're spiraling, not all at once, but gradually, like water slipping through a crack in glass. You don't see it shatter immediately, but the fracture is there, and it's growing. They may post a selfie, hoping you'll see it. They may like your old picture, hoping you'll react. They may even throw some indirect jab in a quote post. But none of it is real. It's performance art for an audience of one, you. And when you don't respond, when you don't flinch, they panic harder. Because what they're realizing is that their tricks don't work anymore. The mind tries to stay rational. It says, they're just giving space. But the body remembers every part of you they pushed away. The way you used to reach out, the way you used to care, the way your presence used to comfort them even after chaos. And now that comfort is gone, and in that silence, they're not just missing your messages, they're missing the safety you brought, the peace you gave, the stability they never appreciated until it vanished like smoke in the wind. The same things they once rolled their eyes at, your consistency, your love, your efforts, are now the very things they're craving. But the beauty of this moment, my friends, is not in their panic, it's in your poise. Because while they scramble to stay composed, you're becoming unshakable. Every moment you don't respond is proof that you're rising. Not because you don't feel pain, but because you've learned to channel that pain into power. And let me remind you, this isn't about games. This isn't about revenge. This is about self-respect. This is about finally refusing to beg for the bare minimum. This is about letting their chaos echo back to them while you stay rooted in silence. So I want you to write this in the comments right now. They'll pretend. I'll transform. Let them play the role. Let them wear the mask. You're writing a new script. And spoiler alert, you're the one with the real power now. And if you thought the first few days were intense, wait until we uncover what happens in week 2 when their performance fades and the questions become darker, louder, and unavoidable. Stay with me, because that's when the doubt starts to devour them. Week 2. The questions begin, and the doubt takes root. The worst loneliness is not to be comfortable with yourself. By week 2, the show starts to crack. The energy they had in the first few days, the forced smiles, the distraction posts, the confident pretending, starts to fade like cheap paint in the rain. Because silence has a way of exposing what noise tries to cover. And now, my friends, the questions begin, quietly, relentlessly, like whispers in the back of their mind that refuse to shut up. They're not asking these questions out loud. No, pride won't let them. But in the silence you've left behind, their thoughts are no longer their friends. They're turning on them. Why haven't they reached out? Were they serious this time? Did I go too far? Are they already with someone else? The questions aren't harmless anymore. They're starting to sting. And doubt is a slow poison that doesn't burn right away. It creeps, it waits, it devours. At first they were so sure, so cocky. They'll break first. That was the lie they clung to, the story they told themselves to avoid responsibility. But the longer your silence holds, the more they start to question that story. What if they were wrong? What if you're not just giving space but giving up? Let me give you a picture, folks. Imagine a door they were sure was always open, a door they never bothered to knock on, because they assumed it would swing wide the moment they returned. But now they're walking up to it, and it's shut. No key, no sound, no response. That's your silence. And suddenly, they're not so sure they were ever as important as they thought. They check your profile more than they'll admit. Not to like, not to comment, just to see if there's a sign, a crack in the silence, something that tells them you're still watching, still hurting, still waiting. But they find nothing. No sad quotes, no indirect posts, no breadcrumbs to follow, just silence. Pure, clean, brutal silence. And that's when panic meets pride, and they don't know whether to reach out or run. Because silence doesn't just make them miss you, it makes them question everything they thought they knew about you. That version of you who always showed up? Gone. That version of you who always forgave, always tried harder, always checked in even when they didn't deserve it. Silent now. And the version of you they see now, the one who chooses peace over performance, is a stranger to them, a mystery. And you know what the mind does with mysteries, right? It assumes the worst. They start imagining things, not because you said anything, but because you didn't. Maybe you're happier, maybe you're healing, maybe you've already moved on, maybe they lost you for real this time. The mind hates a blank page, and your silence is forcing them to fill it with their own darkest thoughts. And let me tell you something about ego. It can survive anything except uncertainty. And that's what your silence breeds now. Uncertainty. They don't know how you feel. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't even know if they matter anymore. And that unknown is gnawing at them like rust on steel. But don't forget, this part is hard for you too. You're still human. You still have those nights where you want to break, to message, to explain just one more time. But every second you stay silent, you're planting seeds of clarity in your own mind and in theirs. You're showing them and yourself that love isn't supposed to hurt this way. That respect isn't optional. That peace, even if it comes with distance, is more valuable than connection built on chaos. This isn't about proving anything to them anymore. This is about protecting your own healing. Your silence is not a test. It's a boundary. A wall built from all the times you were pushed too far and all the strength you never got credit for. And now that you're finally honoring that strength, they're unraveling. So say it with me and drop it in the comments. Let them wonder. I choose peace. Let them scroll. Let them question. Let them sit with the silence they created. Because every time you choose not to explain, you're choosing yourself a little more. And stay close, because in the next part, we'll step into week 3, where the mask slips entirely, and their ego. It's no longer running the show. Now the fear takes over, and when fear replaces pride, that's when the real chaos begins. Stay with me. Week 3. The mind rewrites everything. People will believe what they want to believe until silence makes them question it all. Unknown. By week 3, the silence isn't just a whisper in the background, it's the main character in their mind. It's no longer something they can ignore, explain away, or pretend doesn't matter. It's echoing through every corner of their thoughts, the excuses they made, the stories they told themselves, all starting to fall apart. Because now, my friends, their mind has no choice but to start rewriting everything they believed about you and about themselves. At first, they believed you were just being dramatic, just buying time before you came back like you always did. But something feels different this time. You're not watching their stories. You're not reacting to their bait. You're not lurking in the shadows hoping they'll notice your pain. And that's what scares them, because if you're not trying to be seen, maybe you're finally starting to see yourself. They used to believe they had the power, that they could walk away and you'd follow, that they could throw distance like a weapon and you'd close the gap every time. But now they're starting to realize you're not chasing, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're not playing anymore. Imagine this, folks. Someone writing a story, convinced they know the ending, confident, arrogant. They stop mid-page, certain the other character will finish it for them. But days go by, then weeks, and the page stays blank. That's your silence. And now they're flipping back through the earlier chapters, desperately trying to figure out where they lost control of the plot. They reread your old messages now, the ones they used to ignore, the ones they left unseen. They're not skimming anymore, they're studying, looking for signs they missed, wondering if you were already pulling away back then, trying to find the moment you stopped hoping they'd change. And every message they read sounds different now. Not desperate, not weak, just full of love they didn't value, until it was too late. And here's where the mind really starts to twist the knife. They start remembering all the times you gave them chances, all the times you forgave what you had every right to walk away from, all the times you cried silently behind closed doors just to protect a connection they took for granted. And now there's no more chances. And that reality is cutting deeper than they ever expected. Because by week 3, it's no longer about what you're doing, it's about what they're imagining. Maybe you're happier now. Maybe you're glowing. Maybe you've met someone who treats you better. The truth doesn't even matter anymore. The mind fills in the blanks, and the mind always imagines what hurts the most. They thought they had you figured out. But silence rewrites your identity in their mind. It shifts the roles. You're no longer the one who cared too much. You're the one who evolved. You're no longer the one they thought would wait forever. You're the one they now wonder if they ever really had. And this is the part where their ego loses control. Because ego survives on certainty. It needs answers. And your silence is the one thing it can't manipulate. It can't debate it. It can't twist it. It can't out-talk it. All it can do is feel it. And that's what's destroying them now. The quiet realization that they were never in control of you, only of your old wounds. Now they're the ones checking the phone. They're the ones waiting for a message that doesn't come. They're the ones wondering how someone who used to love them so loudly can now be so beautifully silent. That question alone is enough to break them. But don't forget, you earned this silence. You bled for it. You struggled to choose it. You had to fight through the urge to explain, to beg, to prove your side one more time. But you didn't. And now, you're no longer someone they can read like an open book. You're a closed chapter, a mystery, a lesson. So my friends, I want you to write this in the comments right now. My silence rewrites the story. Let them scroll and see it. Let you see it. Because you're no longer the person who needed to be understood. You're the one who understands your worth now. And don't go anywhere, because next we're stepping into week 4. And in week 4, the fear they tried to hide becomes undeniable. The games stop, the mask slips. And what they feel now isn't doubt. It's dread. Stay with me. Week 4. Their ego is no longer in control. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Silence does, because silence makes them feel the wound they tried to deny. By week 4, the silence is no longer something they can ignore. It's not just uncomfortable now, it's unbearable. The mask they wore for the first few weeks, the confidence, the indifference, the fake freedom, that mask is slipping. Slowly, publicly, painfully. And now, my friends, they're not in control of their pride anymore. Their pride is controlling them, and it's starting to eat them alive. In the beginning, they thought this was just a phase, a little distance, a little ego war. Maybe you'd be the first to fold, but you didn't. You stayed quiet. You stayed grounded. And what they never accounted for was that the silence would outlast their ego's defenses. By week 4, the illusion starts to collapse. They thought you were the emotional one, the one who couldn't let go, the one who'd break down and come crawling back. But that version of you doesn't exist anymore. It was built on pain, and pain has a funny way of teaching lessons no words ever could. Now, they're watching you from the sidelines. They see the shift, not just in your silence, but in your energy. You're not sad. You're not bitter. You're not performing grief online so they can feel important. You're calm, composed, focused. And that's what's driving them insane. Because nothing breaks the ego faster than realizing the person they thought needed them is flourishing without them. Let me give you a visual, folks. Imagine a house made of glass. They lived in it, comfortably, arrogantly, believing they were untouchable. But the silence you left behind, that was the stone. And now the cracks are spreading across every wall. They're walking through memories barefoot, bleeding, pretending they're fine. But deep down, they know they're not fine. They start doing things out of character, reaching out to your friends, liking your old posts, dropping comments they hope you'll see, posting quotes about loyalty and real love, and missing old energy. It's bait, all of it. They're not trying to reconnect. They're trying to pull you back into their game because your silence has taken away the script they use to control you. And without that script, they don't know who they are. They're spiraling, even if they smile through it. Because when the ego loses its grip, what's left is raw truth. And here's the truth they're choking on now. They had something real, and they lost it, not because you disappeared, but because they kept pushing you away, until one day you finally stopped coming back. And let me say this clearly, the pain they feel now, you didn't cause it. They did. All you did was choose silence. All you did was remove yourself from the chaos. And that absence, that quiet, calm distance, is teaching them a lesson their ego was never ready to learn. You were the peace they didn't know how to keep. But don't think for a second this has been easy for you. Silence is heavy when you care. Some nights it feels like your chest is full of words you'll never get to say. Some days you want to break, not because you're weak, but because you remember what it felt like to be loved, even if it was only a lie. But you didn't break. You held the line. And that's what makes you powerful. The Stoics believed that restraint is the purest form of strength, that real power isn't in retaliation, it's in the refusal to be moved by the chaos of others. And right now, your silence is proving something they never expected to learn from you. You don't need to speak to be heard. They're not in control anymore. Their emotions are, their anxiety is, their fear is. And that fear? It's not about losing you. It's about realizing they never really had you. They only had access to you, and now that access is gone. So say it with me and drop it in the comments. Their ego's breaking. I'm just beginning. Let the world see it. Let them see it, because you're not breaking. You're building, quietly, powerfully. And stay with me, because next, we're going deeper. Because silence isn't revenge. It's reflection, and in the next section, we'll show exactly how your silence is becoming their mirror. And what they see in that reflection will haunt them far longer than your words ever could. Silence isn't revenge. It's reflection. You don't always have to tell your side of the story. Time will. By now, they've realized something they never expected. Your silence? It wasn't a tantrum. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't some manipulation tactic to make them miss you. No. Your silence was something far more terrifying to them. It was a reflection, a mirror they can't escape, a quiet truth that says more about them than it ever did about you. You didn't go quiet to punish them. You went quiet to protect yourself. And now, that absence they once laughed off, that stillness they once called weakness, is showing them who they really are without the comfort of your chaos-calming presence. And trust me, my friends, they don't like what they see. See, when someone treats you like you're optional, they expect you to stay available. They expect your loyalty to override your self-respect. But silence shatters that illusion. Silence forces them to sit in the discomfort they used to escape by watching you break first. But not this time. This time, you didn't explain. You didn't beg. You didn't even announce your exit. You just walked away and let the quiet speak volumes. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine someone yelling into a canyon over and over for days, weeks. They scream insults, accusations, blame, but this time nothing echoes back. And suddenly they're forced to hear their own voice, their own cruelty, their own manipulation. That's what your silence is now, not revenge, reflection. They're yelling at a mirror, and all it gives them is them. They expected drama, a fight, a breakdown, but instead you gave them a void. And in that void, they're seeing the truth. They weren't the victim. They were the villain in someone else's story. Your silence is letting them sit with the weight of everything they did, everything they avoided, and everything they refused to take accountability for. And there's no escape from that kind of confrontation. It hurts them in ways they can't explain, because if they admit that your silence is affecting them, they're also admitting that you mattered more than their pride let them believe. And pride is a loud liar. But silence is the quiet truth. And here's the part that flips everything. They're starting to realize that you're not trying to teach them a lesson. You are the lesson, the consequence, the one they never thought they'd lose, until it was too late. And the scariest part? You're not angry anymore. You're not emotional. You're not even bitter. You're just done, calm, still, quiet. That kind of peace, that's what they were never ready for. Because peace means finality. Peace means closure without their permission. Peace means you've healed to the point that their chaos can no longer touch you. And that is unbearable for someone who used to thrive off your reaction. But this silence isn't just about them. It's about you too. It's your sanctuary now, your temple, your shield. It's the space where you finally heard your own thoughts again, where you finally realize that explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you is a waste of your soul. You don't owe them closure. You owe yourself peace. The philosopher Seneca once wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage, and sometimes so is staying silent, especially when your heart still wants to speak." But you didn't stay silent because you're cold. You stayed silent because you're healing, because you finally chose to reflect instead of react. You chose you, and in doing so, you've held up the mirror, not to shame them, but to protect yourself, not to play games, but to reclaim your voice without saying a word. So drop this in the comments right now, my friends. My silence is my sanctuary. Let them read it. Let yourself feel it. Because you've earned this silence, not as a punishment, but as a path back to your own power. And stay close. Because next, we'll talk about the moment they break, the moment they realize you're really not coming back, that your silence wasn't temporary, that you're not angry. You're gone. And nothing haunts the mind more than someone who vanished without a final goodbye. Stay with me. When will they break? The moment they realize you're not coming back. Sometimes you don't need to hear "I'm sorry" to know they regret it. All you need is silence and time. Unknown. It doesn't happen all at once. You won't see them fall apart the moment you go silent. That's not how it works. The break doesn't come in week 1. It doesn't even always come in week 4. It comes when the illusion they've clung to, the belief that you'd come back eventually, shatters into pieces they can't sweep under the rug anymore. That's when it hits. That's when they break. Because, my friends, silence is patient. It doesn't strike like lightning. It sinks in like cold water, slowly, deliberately. And the colder it gets, the more their defenses freeze up. The more your absence starts feeling permanent, the more their pride begins to rot from the inside. They'll hold out as long as they can. But eventually, they'll stop wondering if they should reach out and start realizing you're not going to. And that realization, that's what breaks them. At first, they thought you were playing a game. They believed your silence was just strategy, an emotional timeout. But now, they're starting to understand that your silence wasn't a move on the chessboard. It was you flipping the whole table over and walking away, quietly, powerfully, without the need for drama or closure. They'll scroll through your old messages at 2 a.m. looking for proof that the love you gave was real. And it was. That's what hurts, because what they're really searching for in those screenshots isn't a version of you. It's a version of themselves they felt safe in. The version where they had access to your heart, where they were still in control of your attention. But now, all they've got are blue ticks and silence. And their ego can't handle that. Let me give you a picture, folks. Imagine they're standing on the shore, watching a boat drift into the horizon. At first, they wave it off, assuming it'll return. They turn their back for a while. But when they turn around again, it's gone. Nothing but ocean. That boat was your presence. And now they're realizing they didn't just lose sight of you. They lost the chance to ever get on board again. You're not angry. You're not bitter. You're not leaving hints or traps. You're not even posting for attention. You've simply disconnected, emotionally, mentally, energetically. And that kind of silence, that kind of stillness, it terrifies them more than your tears ever could. Because now they see it. You're not silent because you're hoping they'll come back. You're silent because you no longer need them to. And nothing scares a person more than realizing they've been erased from a place they thought they could return to any time. They'll break when they realize that the power has shifted. When they understand that the door they used to walk through so casually is closed, and not locked out of spite, but sealed shut out of self-respect. That's when their ego collapses under the weight of everything it tried to deny. That's when the messages start coming. That's when the breadcrumbs turn into paragraphs. And that's when they finally, painfully understand. You're not waiting anymore. You're gone. And the irony? By the time they finally break, by the time they're ready to say everything they should have said when it mattered, you won't be the same person they left behind. You'll be stronger, quieter, wiser, and far more focused on building your future than rereading their past. You didn't use silence to get their attention, you used it to get your freedom. And now that you've tasted peace, you'll never beg for chaos again. So my friends, write this in the comments right now. They'll break, I'll rebuild. Let them watch you glow from the distance. Let your stillness be the storm they never saw coming. To wrap this up, let me leave you with this. Your silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the echo of your self-worth finally speaking louder than your wounds. You didn't walk away to be chased. You walked away to heal. And in that silence, they're not just missing you. They're realizing they never truly saw you. If this message hit home, drop "I choose peace" in the comments to claim your power. And if you're ready to keep rebuilding yourself, quietly but fiercely, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Because your glow-up journey is only just beginning. Stay powerful.